You're listening to the all-new CultureCast, Chicagoland's finest podcast. Hey everyone, welcome back to the all-new CultureCast. I am part one of your host, Nick, and with me is part two.
The Gorehound.
Hey Gorehound, how are you doing today?
I'm doing very good. How about yourself?
I could be doing better.
Yeah.
Because I watched tonight's topic.
Robot Overlords.
Robot Overlords, starring Gillian Anderson and Ben Kingsley, two fairly respected actors who clearly needed a paycheck, but yeah. This is a tough movie.
Yeah.
How did you encounter Robot Overlords the first time?
I had watched it initially. I don't remember how long ago, but when you had mentioned it, I was like, Gillian Anderson, I was like, oh my gosh, that sounds so good. How could I have passed that up? And I didn't pass it up because I did watch it quite a few months ago, but my mind just tried to erase it from my memory because I couldn't sit through it for very long. Partially, as we'll get into, it's because Gillian Anderson is on the cover. And 20 minutes in, she's only in it for like 2 to 5 minutes.
Yeah, she's not in it much. She's in it at the beginning and at the end, and that's about it.
It's like she's the only reason I'm watching this movie, and if she's not in it enough, I'm cutting out.
Yeah.
So.
I'm kind of the same way with you on that one. I wasn't expecting this to be a good movie. It just, with a title like Robot Overlords, it's probably not going to be a good movie.
Mm-hmm.
But I was hoping that it would be sort of entertainingly bad. Like, okay, this is not good, but I'm entertained by this.
Right, like an asylum film.
Yeah, exactly. And it's not even that. The movie's just boring.
Yeah.
It's so boring. And I had to shut it off the first time I watched it. I couldn't get through it, and I had to finish it the following day because I was just so actively bored by this movie.
Yeah.
I haven't been this bored by a movie since Die Hard 5, that's saying something. But yeah, see, I'd rather talk about Die Hard than Robot Overlords, but then who wouldn't? Let's talk about the story of this movie. It takes place in, I don't know, an alternate world, I guess, where 3 years ago robots have invaded Earth, took control. We all have these implants in our necks, and no one can go outside because they're robots are doing something to the world. And these kids, whose father had gone missing several years previously, happen upon a way to turn off their activators, turn off the little sensors. So, they start going around, first time they're outside in a long time, they're having fun, and through some means, they discover that one of the kids discovers he can control the robots. I don't know how he discovered this, he just sort of learns to do it, and so they decide to, let's go try to find my dad and see if we could stop the robots from doing whatever it is they're doing. And that's the story.
Yeah. The story I found so infuriating because there were so many things I was like, that's just stretching the limits of the story. You're just jumping from one thing to the other without any real heart or purpose behind whatever you're doing.
Uh-huh.
So many times I was just like, how and why? How does he control the robots?
I don't know.
Did you catch that?
No, I don't. He just started doing it. Maybe I was so bored.
Right.
Maybe they explained it and I missed it, but I don't know. I'm guessing it's something with the little thing that was in their necks, but I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. If I had really watched this, I wonder if they might have glossed over it. But we shouldn't have to, focus in that hard.
Yeah.
To understand a crucial point in this.
Yeah, because that's the thing that saves the day at the end.
Yeah.
Because he's able to control the real creepy, what do they call it? The mediator or the the mediator, the little I don't know if it was CGI or just made to look weird, but oh my god, that creature was really creepy, and not in like a good movie creepy way. Just like,
Do you think it was CGI?
I don't know. I mean, I'm looking at the cast list. A guy played him, but maybe they had some CGI to make it look more digitized. I don't know.
Oh my gosh, he actually does look like it.
Really?
Yeah, that
Okay.
might
He's a little
actually
guy. He's a
be
little person.
him, like heavily make-upped.
But man, he was just.
That's odd.
Yeah, he looked really creepy in the movie. But
Yeah. I had no problems with him. He did the movie very well. He was weird, boss of the robots,
yeah.
and played his part well.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that part, I shouldn't be too hard on that, but yeah, I don't know. It's just, this film was trying to do so much. Like, in the last third of the movie, when they're in that camp, and the kid, Sean, I guess his name was, he starts
Nice job
fight.
remembering a name.
I'll own up. I'm looking at the Wikipedia, and that's how I remember the name. The main kid, I guess. I guess not kid, he's a teenager, but whatever.
Yeah,
It kind of reminded me, like, I don't know if they were going for a sort of a Hunger Games Divergent sort of feel to the movie, where it's like a post-apocalyptic and these teenagers are there to save the day, and I don't know if that's what they're trying to go for, that young adult lit sort of feel, but it did kind of feel like that towards the end, but everything else leading up to it was so dull. It's like...
Yeah. No, this movie definitely does fit in with the Hunger Games Divergent, teen drama type stuff.
With like the sci-fi twist or something.
Right, because it's centered around teens who are saving the world from, some bad things. And yeah, it fits right in there. But that is what it is a kids movie, a teen movie. And the cover does not lead you to believe that. The cover leaves you to believe that it is just another asylum movie.
Yeah.
Perhaps. It leads you to believe that it's an asylum movie. And then when you watch it, you're like, it's nothing like that.
No.
I mean, maybe it's just that we're two adults coming at this. We aren't teenagers. And we don't particularly care for this teen drama type stuff.
I don't even think it's that. I mean, maybe that has something to do with it, but, I didn't mind the Hunger Game. I've only seen the first Hunger Game movie. I didn't mind that. I don't mind the Divergent series.
Well, it's because it's got Jennifer Lawrence in it.
Jennifer Lawrence aside, I don't mind it because it's at least entertaining. It held my interest. The story was... interesting enough where I could follow
comparable to this movie.
Yeah, and this is just, we have characters that serve no purpose. Like the kid, like the little kid. What he added nothing to the movie. I loved it when he got thrown into the vending machine.
Do it again.
Yeah, he like zaps himself and he goes in the machine. It's like, oh my god. And like the girl in the movie, the teen girl, who adds, the only reason she's there is so she could kiss the guy at the end, even though there was no indication they had anything going on beforehand. It just felt so, it's I don't know.
Yeah, I didn't really understand the relationship between all of the kids. I had thought that they were all siblings at first because they're all living pretty much underneath the same roof. Mm-hmm. And I was like, okay, it got to a point where I'm like, I'm not paying attention because they were at the Stonehenge site and the guy was like making like googly eyes at the girl. And I was like, I've had enough of this movie. There's no turning back. This is a bad movie and let's just finish it off.
I think the girl and the boy who kept running his mouth, I think they were actually...
The ugly one? Okay.
Yeah. I think they were actually brother and sister. But they weren't Gillian Anderson's kids. They were
Okay.
just living with her because I guess their parents might have disappeared or who knows.
Okay.
The main character is Gillian Anderson's kid, and the little kid is a neighbor kid because his father dies right at the beginning. So that's how I understood the whole relationships in the movie.
Yeah, that's way too complicated.
Yeah, they kind of really kind of gloss over it, but
So story is awful. We can agree on that part.
it has potential. They just didn't do anything good with it.
Well, yeah, it has potential, like Divergent or Hunger Games have potential.
Mm-hmm. They just made it in the most boring way possible.
Yeah, and didn't add anything to it. Yeah, you added a few robots, but who cares?
Yeah.
But one thing I should mention that kind of puts me in a predicament is that the director of this movie is John Wright.
Uh-huh.
Have you heard of him?
No.
Okay. John Wright directed Grabbers 2 years prior to this one. And Grabbers, I think I've mentioned it a few times, but I really like Grabbers. It's about these people on a seaside bar, and this water monster starts attacking this bar. And spoiler alert, the only thing that can defeat this monster is alcohol. And so all these people are in a bar, and they're just, all right, we just have to get pissed drunk, and then we could battle this. And it's just a very fun movie. And not just because it's very comedic, it's dark comedic. But long story short, the movie is very good. I think it has a lot of aspects to it, which I really like. And so I didn't realize that Robot Overlords is directed by the same guy. And I'm like, oh my gosh. How can one great guy direct one good movie and one bad movie?
Oh, that's real simple. Look at M. Night Shyamalan.
So it just adds a little element to it.
Well, the film looked good. To its credit, the CGI and the robots, they looked better than I was expecting them to look.
Looked better than Sharknado.
Yeah. It looks like there was actually some quality and some effort that went into that.
Right. Look at the robot boss.
Mm-hmm.
He was very robotic looking, but
yeah,
you don't really know.
Like, they did a good job hiding. Like, I thought he was a CGI character, but he was an actor where they probably just did some makeup and maybe they had a little CGI to emphasize his robotness, but it looked convincing enough. It worked. I mean, the film was shot fairly well. The problem is the writing. Honestly, that's the problem. So,
and just logic. To everything that happens. And Ben Kingsley was just awkward, I found.
Yeah, what's Ben Kingsley doing? Well, no, I shouldn't say that. He does a lot of bad movies, but Ben Kingsley's a weird actor in that he'll do something great, like the movie Hugo, or be in Schindler's List, and then he does something awful like this, Prince of Persia. And I think he's been in a few... what's that guy's name? He made a lot of video game adaptations. Uwe Boll, yeah, who's directed awful films like Blood Rain, which starred Ben Kingsley and
yes.
Yeah, so Uwe Boll, yeah, that's who I'm thinking. Like, and he's done stuff. So I don't know. Clearly, he's a guy who Ben Kingsley's a guy who knows how to do good things, but isn't above taking a paycheck. He's sort of like a classier version of Nick Cage.
Yeah. This really reminded me of another movie that he did, Ender's Game.
Yeah, I want to see that.
Thought was a very good comparison, because Ender's Game. I mean, a lot of people loved it. A lot of people love the book, and so there's a lot to it. You have two different stories, the book and the movie, which really elevate it to a point where people want to talk about it. But this one, right. You've got nothing. So you don't have anything to carry it anywhere except for the story, which, didn't grab anybody's attention.
Uh-huh. Yeah, there's too much going on in the story, in that they were just, hey, let's go eat candy, and now we're in a castle, and now we gotta save my mom.
For too many moments.
Yeah.
Too many moments which weren't built up. It was like the director said, I've got all of these scenes, we're going to do all of them, but they don't necessarily connect.
Yeah.
And I feel like every single scene that was in that movie, like every momentous scene, was just carried over from another movie that wasn't built up at all.
You're totally right on that. This is... what boggles my mind even further about Robot Overlords, as I'm reading on their Wikipedia page, is that they published a novel about Robot Overlords. I don't know if it's a novelization of the movie or a sequel.
I believe it's after the fact.
Okay.
Book.
They made a video game based on this movie, but it's for iOS and Android, so it might be a little bit.
Oh, like a little phone game.
Yeah, that's. But what's even more perplexing is that they're making a TV show out of this movie.
But that may have some potential, because if they put it on like the new Freeform, the ABC Family, I mean, preteens are just gonna gobble that shit right up, because it's got robots, which could be like the next Zombie or something. So I could see this movie being on ABC Family.
It may not be on ABC
Please
Family.
Don't put it on the Sci-Fi Network.
This is my prediction. This is just my prediction, because this is a movie that was made in the UK. It looks like they're trying to make the show in the UK, and usually when they import shows from the UK, it'll either be on the BBC or it will be on the Sci-Fi Channel. So if it even gets shown over here in the first place, so we will see on that one. But yeah, I guess there is more potential. Like the premise isn't bad. It's just how they went about the premise.
Yeah, this movie is about robots, not about these teens. Bring some more robots into them and incorporate it more into the story. Like, I did not see them having that bad of a life.
Yeah, they could have played that up a bit more. Like, they couldn't go outside. And, yeah,
what else?
Yeah, give us something else. I don't know. Maybe it's just... They need to deal more with, like, the lack of freedoms that they had.
Right, yeah. Because it's so quickly do we see these scenes where they're just, like, so happy they've got this freedom. But I'm like, there's nothing... I don't know what you guys...
It's a payoff to something...
From.
Yeah, it was a payoff to something that wasn't built up. They talk very briefly at the end that, the robots are going to kill us all eventually, and it's just a throwaway line. Is that what they're going to do, or like I don't understand. You know, F this movie.
So what? If you were to revise this movie, how would you make it better? Now, I guess better is subjective. To make it more appealing to
like audiences.
Yeah.
You know, I hate to play Monday morning producer, so to speak, but I guess focus the narrative. I mean, there's too much stuff going on. Maybe get rid of a character or two. Kind of make things a little bit more immediate. Maybe not necessarily action things up, but maybe have things that have a little more purpose. Like, why did they kill that? Remember they killed that old guy that they were living with? Why did they kill him? I don't understand why they did that. I don't know. I don't know. Go back to the square one and start over.
Yeah. Yeah.
That might be a way to go. Like, I don't know. Just give us something interesting to look at.
I think that they should redefine and think about what genre are they trying to capture in this movie. Stick with that. Don't try to cross between sci-fi and drama. And yeah, I think eliminating some characters would really help focus this movie and bring it in better. Because the first 5 minutes, I was like, this is disappointing. And my mind needs to be captured initially. Unless you've got a huge twist at the end. Mm-hmm. Which there absolutely wasn't.
Nope. Yeah, I would say if this is supposed to be a like a sci-fi teen film, you got to play to that audience a little bit more.
And rename the movie.
Yeah, I think that would help too. Because when you see a name, like, okay, let's compare Robot Overlords to The Hunger Games. Hunger Games sounds like, ooh, it's interesting, it's weird. Robot Overlords sound schlocky, and
it like, got us watching it.
Yeah,
and
it sounds cheesy, and the movie, given its faults, its production value is above what this title is. Like, what would you rename this film?
Never thought about renaming a film. Not very good at naming things, so I think I'll have to pass on that one. Nothing is coming to mind because I've never thought about it. How about yourself?
What about the Overlords? What do you think of that?
No, because the robots were non-existent in this movie. It was nothing about them. It was about him finding his father. That's the only thing that I got out of this movie. It was like a father-son reuniting to defeat these like pesky little robots.
I would also make meeting the father a bigger deal. Cause
yeah, they're out in front of all these people, and then like all of a sudden he's like, "Oh, there's my dad."
Yeah, and the dad, I don't think added anything to the movie. It's like, okay, they found him, and it's kind of like, all right, well, we're just going to chill here. You guys can stay if you want, and that was it.
Next scene, they're just like, "Oh, this is awesome. So glad you guys are back."
Like, I was expecting the dad to be like, "You're here. I have this bomb that could blow up all the robots, and we're going to do it together now." You know, some big revelation or something. I don't know, but it just was nothing.
We're both screwed. I guess I'm pulling a lot of comparisons in this movie. But I also... Have you seen the cover for Camp Hell?
Mm-mm. I will look at that right now.
So you don't think you've seen it?
No, I could guarantee you I didn't see it.
Okay.
Is that Jesse Eisenberg? Yeah, it is.
It
Jesse
is.
Eisenberg.
Camp Hell was a new release like a few years ago. I saw it as soon as I saw it in Family Video, and because it had Jesse Eisenberg, and that was when he was the Facebook guy. Mm-hmm. He is in this movie for 5 minutes total, but his face is plastered on every DVD cover. It's so aggravating when that happens because you're like, he's on the cover. He must have a big role. And that was the same exact way I felt about this one. Is like, Gillian Anderson, she is not in this. Mm-hmm. And it was just disappointing. Gosh, maybe I need to start looking up like runtimes with actors in movies before I rent them. He is in, 75% of this movie, and I'll take that bet.
It's like sold. So going back to Robot Overlords.
Yeah, what else does this have going for it?
Nothing. It has nothing going for it.
It really doesn't.
So what do you think? Do you think Gillian Anderson has a British accent and fakes the American one, or has an American accent and fakes the British one? Because she uses the two interchangeably.
Yes, she does. Yeah, she did a podcast. Oh, but she does have both accents because she does live in England or wherever, and she can switch between them interchangeably. I believe she was born in the U.S. and is now living in
like the Chicagoland area, actually.
Oh yeah,
she's a Chicagoland native. So if you ever want to come on the show, Gillian, you totally can, and you can do whatever accent you want.
Yeah, I like to do a lot of listen to podcasts about these movies before we actually do them, and so I try to search for podcasts about Robot Overlords, and apparently there's like this huge podcast called Robot Overlord. It has nothing to do with the movie. It just has to talk about like tech takeover in the media and society.
Could this be
one episode? Could
this possibly be the first movie-based podcast for Robot Overlords?
Yeah.
Are we breaking new ground on the internet here? For anyone who's listening, and I'm sure you are, send us an email about if you see of any other podcasts that talk about Robot Overlords. The movie, not the actual event.
But the podcast actually wasn't that bad. But then I realized that I was listening to it for like 45 minutes, and I was like, I don't know where they're going with this. Robots are not going to take over. So...
Yeah, I got nothing. This movie was terrible. If you see it on Netflix, run far, far away.
Before we close things up on this, we forgot to mention or discuss what we've been watching recently. You want to go over that really quick?
Not much, actually. I've been just kind of busy with work things. Work has been lighter this week, but I just haven't had a chance really to watch much of anything, honestly. Just typical shows that I watch. What about you?
I will mention this very briefly, but I have been watching the X-Files, the new one, and I have been enjoying them thoroughly, and I believe that episode 3 was one of the best ones that they have done. I'll leave it at that.
Okay, I'm looking forward to it.
And also, I started watching Ash vs. Evil Dead.
Oh, how is it?
Oh my gosh, it is so much fun.
Is that on Netflix or something, or...?
I got a 1-week free trial on some subscription thing, so I've got until Tuesday of next week to finish it. But yeah, it's 10 episodes, 30 minutes long each, but it is very entertaining. It's a bit drawn out and slow paced. It's like they really only go from one location to the next location in each episode. I wish that we would see more happen, but I mean, getting from one location to the other in each episode is very action-packed, and Bruce Campbell just lives up to it. I mean, yes, he is getting older, but he plays it off so well. So I am really enjoying it, and it is pretty much everything that I was hoping it to be.
Okay, well, I'm looking forward to hopefully eventually checking that out. The previews look pretty good, so...
Oh, yeah. It's wonderful.
All right. Well, I think it's going to do it for us, unless do you have any final thoughts on anything?
I have no final thoughts. What would you give it out of 5?
1, maybe 2 if I'm feeling generous. You?
Can we give a movie a 0?
I don't see why not.
Or what's a 0 movie? What's a 0 movie to you?
A 0 movie to me? I don't know. You put me on the spot there. I have to think about it.
I'll think of something. A 0.
Superman 4. That's a pretty 0 movie.
Okay.
To me, I guess a 0 movie is a movie that clearly no effort actually went into it. And it's not even entertaining in the least.
We should do a podcast on that.
On what?
0 movies. 0-star movies.
Yeah, I'm down with that. That's actually a pretty good idea.
Yeah, I don't know what the topic would be, because it's like favorite 0-star movies. But if they're our favorite,
yeah, we'll table that and we'll nurture that and we'll come back to that in a few weeks and see what we can get. So.
Yeah, but yeah, like I would give this a 1 or 2. I'll give it a 1. I'm sorry, Jilly. It's just
she needed a paycheck.
Bad.
Yeah, not everyone. This is bad for everyone involved,
except the robot.
Yeah, the robot. Yeah, he did okay. He did good. They did a good job on the mediator.
Yeah, kudos to him.
Yeah, thumbs up, guy. Thumbs up.
Yeah,
you elevated what would have been crap.
Yeah.
So, alrighty. Well, I think that's going to do it for us for this week. Thanks for listening, everyone. Robot Overlords, not much more we can say about it. Thanks for listening, and we will catch you next time.
See you next week.
You've been listening to the all-new CultureCast, where every episode is all new. Check out our blog, Zach and Nick's CultureCast, at znculturecast.wordpress.com, and find us on social media. Send us an email at nick.culturecast@gmail.com. We'd love to hear your feedback, comments, and requests. Theme music by bensound.com. The all-new CultureCast, a saltwater production, copyright 2016. I love how I'm looking at the tagline, Transformers meets Doctor Who. Okay, a must-see for all the family. It's like, who's giving it 4 stars? Look at that. These people must have been bribed.